Good morning, everybody. It is just after 9 a.m. on a Friday morning. You're watching Live Impact News here on WCNC Plus. We are following a number of stories today, one in the Charlotte area, and just a sad update. A 16-year-old that went to a sleepover a couple of weeks ago, we have learned this morning that he has passed away. He was shot at that sleepover. Details forthcoming on the latest on that story. We are also following the story where former FBI Director James Comey indicted yesterday on 2 counts, including making a false statement has been indicted. He is expected to turn himself in sometime this morning in the D.C. area. So we'll be following that as well. And as we continue to follow the stories out of Western North Carolina 1 year later since Hurricane Helene, that date coming up tomorrow, we'll bring you some more of the stories of recovery and the long road to recovery still for so many areas. Today, we are also covering weather because it is wet in the Carolinas, and we're also keeping a close eye on the tropics. So we have Chris Mulcahy in the house. He is covering it all. I know your eye is close to the sky, the radar.
Yeah, and I just want to say this is my fault.
What's happened?
Well, because there was a couple of weeks ago that it was just sunny every day and it was really comfortable, and I was like, man, this weather is boring. And I was just said, I was like, I hope it gets more active soon because I'm bored.
You did say that.
I did say that.
Be careful what you ask
I think
for.
I said it in this seat. And then, that's what they say. Careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
It's in all horror movies involving wishes. And luckily for us, I can say that probably the best news since I came with the discovery that we were going to get a tropical system here is that it is trying to be weaker. But truly, I do not want people to focus in on the wind speeds. The biggest problem that people have for tropical storms or hurricanes, category 1 through 5, is that everyone cares about the category and the wind speed. The rain and the flooding is what the worst of it is. And I think you're still going to have a lot of rain with this system regardless, so I just want people to kind of temper their expectations there. But let's get right to it. Roll Sept, let's go. Our increasing rain chances are here. We have scattered rain today. We've already seen it this morning. It's dreary, not really motivational. That's also what we're going to have later on this evening and tomorrow morning, so an excuse to be lazy for a little bit in time to time. And then rain is likely and widespread overnight tonight heading into tomorrow. Now, it's not going to be a complete washout by any stretch of the imagination, but here's the reason why. We have a tremendous amount of moisture. It's been muggy. It's been uncomfortable. Not great. And if you have all that moisture and something to lift it up, aka a front or a low, that's going to do it. And that's exactly what we have here. So that's why we're having constant rain chances throughout the weekend and today. Now, I think as early in here, let me rewind real quick. So you're seeing this right around 5 p.m. Once you get into the evening, I think things are going to be a little bit more favorable. Sometimes with these type of events, as the temperature cools down a little bit, it gets close to the dew point and you technically have a higher relative humidity, aka more saturation in the atmosphere, so that can lead to more widespread rain. I think that's exactly what's happening with this system. You're going to have a quasi-stationary front, there it is again, and that is going to allow for more widespread showers and rain through the overnight, especially up in the mountains and the foothills, a little bit heavier there, and we also do have a risk for a little bit of flooding because of this. So everyone just note that we're going to see a lot of rain overnight tonight. Now, this is a precursor as well because we're seeing a lot of on and off rain. So anything that we do get later on the week is going to allow for a better chance for some flooding. Nothing like the precursor, the predecessor rain event for Helene. Nothing's going to be like that. I always have to mention that, especially because we're heading into the official anniversary by tomorrow. And over the next 36 hours, that front eventually is going to try to get out of here. A lot more heavier rain heading into your Saturday afternoon along the shoreline. And I think that if there's going to be any lulls, it's going to be more so during the afternoons over the next few days, such as even today. All right, so let's get right to it. I want to get to where we're expecting some of the heaviest rain. Once you get to about 6 o'clock, we're seeing isolated showers and thunderstorms. Truly, the kids getting home from the bus stop. If you're a parent at home right now waiting for them to get there, I would just keep an eye on the radar because there's a chance they could have a downpour. Maybe you want to pick them up. I'm sure they'll be grateful of that, unless they like walking and singing in the rain. But we could have some thunder and lightning with it, so keep that in mind. Rain starts to expand during this evening. Now, I'm not going to tell people what not to do, but if you don't like getting soaked, you might want to change any outdoor evening plans. There still could be some breaks, but especially the further west that you go, especially west of 321, looks like rain's going to be more prevalent. So you're going to have a likely chance for rain throughout this evening and through the overnight. Okay, what about tomorrow? Well, it looks like most of this is an overnight event. So when the sun is rising up, we're starting to break things up. Still a lot more prevalent further east that you go. So say if you have an event late morning. You might be okay, but then we are going to see the chance for a little bit of sunshine to return, an isolated shower or thunderstorm, but then we rinse and repeat. We drag in more widespread rain, could be heavy at times during the evening, heading into the morning before we take another lull. Now, Sunday in general, we're distancing ourselves from that front, the thing that lifts everything up. That's going to allow for a slightly drier forecast, still a kind of dreary looking start to the day. So do you know what? I love these type of moments because sometimes I just want to not do anything to immediately start the day. So if you don't have any direct things to do, this is actually great news for you. So I'm trying to give you an excuse here. I'll write you a weather note. For our 7-day forecast, I'm just going to end it here. We're either side of 80 degrees going forward. It might be even actually a little bit warmer on Sunday. I was thinking about raising that temperature, but I just kept it for consistency. This is a big downgrade because we've literally since last Friday been in the lower 90s to the upper 80s. I think the coolest we've been is 86 degrees over the last week. So this is going to be a big change, but the mugginess is not changing. We are still going to be feeling it big time, my friends. So I want everyone to just keep that in mind. And then going into next week, I don't have any active weather alert bars because we're trying something new because we want to alert you a little bit later. I'm calling this an Imelda watch. So a weather alert Imelda watch. That's starting late on Monday, heading into Wednesday. It would be irresponsible of me as a meteorologist to pick a day and then immediately change it to another day, and because the window is too wide right now. I would say our general time frame for even the landfall of what the system's going to be, the intensity is unclear. The path is unclear. Literally, it could make landfall on the Georgia-South Carolina border or the North Carolina-South Carolina border. That's a big difference for what we see here in the Charlotte area. So I just want everyone to know, Tuesday especially, because right in the middle of that, that's where we have the highest chance for some impacts from this system. Maybe indirectly or directly, but regardless, it's something that we all need to watch. Of course, the shorelines are number one because they deal with the storm surge and some of the heavier rain, but there are several scenarios here that you could have a significant swath that's going to move across. I also want to mention that we are going to have some excessive rain impacts and some risks. These maps are going to change likely, but notice on Monday and Tuesday, they are keeping some of the green and the yellows around. The last time that we had an extreme level was exactly a year ago. That was Helene. So it takes a lot for us to get that level, light to moderate for right now. I'm hoping that we don't get up to a high level in the near term. So I want to show you a couple of the rainfall impacts. I think that that's going to be the biggest deal that we're going to see across the Carolinas in general. This is called the QPF, Quantitative Precipitation Forecast. You don't need to know that, but I told you anyways. Over the next 7-day forecast, I like this because the Storm Prediction Center literally takes all the models, kind of puts them together and shows what things are looking like. It still is showing, because if you look at that little key at the top, a decent amount of rain, including what we have this weekend, today, this weekend, and with Imelda, and it's keeping a lot of the reds to the oranges. So that's representing that we could have anywhere from about 3 to 7 inches of rain from the mountains to the coast. That's a lot. So yeah, I think the flooding is going to be the bigger issue. Now, some of the other models that I'm showing you are all over the place. So the main two models are the American and the European. That's what we use for the long range. By the end of the weekend, by Monday, if this thing is still deciding what it's going to do, I'm going to have some other ones that are a lot more detailed, and we're going to have some much better numbers. But we don't even have the name storm yet, and I'll get to that in a second. But look at this. This is the worst case scenario, because what this does is this makes the landfall more in South Carolina, and it has it still moving fairly quickly, and it brings all that moisture all the way up to the mountains that you're literally seeing anywhere from about 4 to 6 inches of rain pretty much for the entirety of South Carolina all the way up into the Charlotte area. Now, this rain over a long period of time, over, say, 2 days, we can withstand that. But if you're getting like heavy swaths all at once, this would be kind of very similar to a Debbie rainfall, if you can remember that of last year. That didn't lead to great situations. You had a lot of roads that were underwater, and it was a decent soaking. It was actually one of the wettest August days that we've ever had in Charlotte history. This is the European model. This one actually shows more of a northern landfall, a little bit closer to the North Carolina border. And look at that, it's showing up to about 9 inches of rain. So this is not saying showing what it is. I think the best way for me to really handle this right now is to show you kind of the two extremes that we're looking at in between. There's the slightest example that, hey, maybe this is going to move out to sea, but in general, that really hasn't been the case. I also want to show you what we're even talking about. So I keep on bringing up Imelda. Well, we don't even have that right now, because as of right now, the most recent advisory was at 8 a.m. for tropical wave Invest 94L. So where you see that little low symbol, that's technically where the center is. The reason why we haven't really formed anything yet is because it's just taking its sweet time. It's actually slowed down a little bit, which has some advantages here. That's also why it's really tough for us to have a window of opportunity. But it's right over Hispaniola. But Hispaniola actually has a very unique terrain. Many people might not realize that. So where you're seeing those clouds here in the Caribbean, Hispaniola has a mountain range that's over 10,000 feet high. And you think about this really fickle creature of a hurricane that needs everything to be just right. Wind shear with the change of winds blowing stronger aloft, which it typically does at higher elevations anyways. Well, this happens all the time, that it's not well known to the everyday folk, but for meteorologists, we sometimes call these the hurricane killing mountains, because when a tropical system passes over that, you can break up a lot of it, especially if it's slow moving. So Pico Duarte especially over here is one factor. So we thank you, Pico Duarte, for trying to slow down the process. I also mentioned this a lot yesterday, wind shear. Wind shear also breaks up the column and how everything interacts. Well, as you can see, there's a general consensus this is going to be in the northern Bahamas by about Sunday morning. All that area of red that you're seeing there is a lot of stronger winds aloft, weaker at the surface, change of wind speed with height, change of wind direction with height, which is going to cut into the development. So this looks to be fairly disorganized. I am thanking our lucky stars that we don't have a clear path of development, no rapid intensification really on tap at this point, and that's going to affect things. So right now, the earliest window for landfall is showing some trending even down into Georgia. That's why so many things can still happen. The biggest change yesterday was showing that this could even make landfall, but the earliest landfall I think we're going to see is either side of noon on Monday. The latest looks to be representation later on Tuesday, but in general, it looks like late Monday into Tuesday is the best chance that we really start to see changing impacts here across the Carolina. So here's the reason why we went into a little bit more detail on this, but plain and simple, you see it all the time. They need that really well-defined eye wall. It's not necessarily going to be the case in scenario for Imelda. That's the normal flow. When you get wind shear, whoosh, it gets all tilty, and then it isn't able to really develop as much as it would like to. So here is the graphic that I showed you yesterday, but of course I updated it for the most recent run. Yesterday at this point, we were showing some indications that, wow, this could even have a slight chance of reaching Category 3 strength. Now the upper models are showing only hurricane strength, and I say only, but at least it's a general consensus for tropical storm strength. Still could have some gusty winds, but at least it's trending away from stronger winds. But I showed you the rain. That doesn't really matter too much because it still could be a big rain event and something that we have to watch really closely. The best scenario was it moving out to sea. That's still becoming less and less of a possibility. We also can't forget about Hurricane Umberto. That officially happened this morning. The 5 a.m. update upgraded this to a hurricane, but it's crazy that I'm spending more time and focus on a wave, a 92L wave, instead of a storm that is likely going to become a Category 4 Hugo strength hurricane. The reason why is this one doesn't really look to be an impact, at least to the United States. If you look really closely, I have Bermuda labeled here. Right now, the center of circulation does look to be off towards the west. It's a really impressive storm in general, but it does look like it is trending a little bit further west of Bermuda, and again, not impactful for the United States. So that's the ideal scenario that you want to see there, and I hope that we're going to continue to see that as well. I want to show you one more graphic that really shows you the difference between these two storms, and then I will let you beautiful people go out of my weather clutches. Here is our Futurecast wind gust. Check this out. So I'm going to stop it right here. All right, so this is 1 a.m. on Sunday. Look to the right. Umberto is really a beautiful storm. It has that pinhole eye wall. It's really tight, compactful. Usually these sometimes larger isn't better for hurricanes. When you have really a smaller one, picture a figure skater tucking their arms in, make them as small as they can. They can spin faster. Sometimes the larger it is, the more lunky it is, so it doesn't pick up as strong of winds as one of the tightly compact ones. Well, this one likely, I think, is going to go through rapid intensification from 75 to about 140 at least in the coming zone. But notice how Sunday at 1 a.m., we still have a blob of thunderstorms. So yesterday, I will say this is changing. I was calling for it, likely look like Imelda could be named by this afternoon. I'm not saying that couldn't happen, but now it's looking more likely by tomorrow. And the more and more we delay this, because the less time that a named storm, a tropical storm, can be out on open water, well, the weaker it's going to be, because it's still a disorganized wave at this point. So the best case scenario doesn't become anything until about Sunday into Monday, because you barely even have like a weak eye wall at that point. So we do have a lot of things that are working in our favor. It's still not a really great forecast, but at least it's not the worst case scenario. But still, a lot of flash flooding could be a possibility. I think the best example I have for you happened this year. Chantal was pretty much just a passerby. 45-mile-per-hour winds, no big deal. We know what happened in Raleigh. It was a deadly storm still. So I'm not saying that people are going to die from this, but if you underestimate the power of these tropical waves and these tropical systems like this, they do turn into deadly situations. So things, again, are trending in the right direction, but we still could have some dangerous conditions, dangerous surf, heavy rain, flash flooding as well. But, of course, stand by, because this is an ever-changing development.
All right, so we need this rain.
We do.
I guess, but not all at once.
Mm-hmm.
That would be nice.
Yeah, 85 to 95% of the Carolinas are currently under drought status, or at least abnormally dry.
All right, and this weekend's not going to be great for outdoor activities.
Sunday is the best day.
Sunday is the best day.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday barbecue. Sunday barbecue?
And you will have actually some lulls for your Saturday afternoon, but Sunday, as the life's a game of averages, Sunday is the best chance for you not to be mad of a wet barbecue.
Life is a box of chocolates.
You never know what you're going to get.
There you go. Chris Mulcahy, happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you.
Thank you. Back here in the Live Impact studio, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with a special guest, because it is fall, and that means fall colors, and people are going to head up to the mountains and see those changing colors. So we'll get more information for Grandfather Mountain after the break. We'll be right back. Welcome back at 9:20 here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. It's a Friday, and as we close out the end of the month here, of course, tomorrow marks the one-year anniversary since Hurricane Helene hit Western North Carolina. But we are coming up on October, and that means fall foliage season. The peak of it's going to be upon us here in our beloved destinations, including Grandfather Mountain. It's been a long time, a premier spot. Molly Dowdle joining us now from the Grandfather Mountain Stewardship Foundation. Molly joining us to talk about what leaf peepers can look forward to. Hi, Molly. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Well, happy to have you here. Like I said, with Hurricane Helene hitting, we're 1 year later. A lot of Western North Carolina and the high country saw so much of that devastation. How is Grandfather Mountain these days?
Sure, we're open and we are ready for visitors to come see us this fall season and experience fall like they may remember it from seasons past. So our mountain is open. Leaves are already changing color up here, so we are excited to welcome visitors back this season.
Oh, so nice to hear. So when do the colors start peaking? When are the peak viewing times?
Sure. So towards the summit of Grandfather Mountain, late September is when we start to see some peak colors, especially with some shrubs changing color up there. And then we start to move into October and we'll see some colors really start to pop then. And then mid-October, we see some of the valleys below start popping. And one of the great things about Grandfather is if you happen to miss peak because of our elevation, we're a great vantage point for viewing all of the color down in the valleys below.
Oh, very nice combination. So really, you can't lose here, right? And so, how did spring and summer conditions favor the season? You know, you got to get set up for the fall. So, how are the seasonal impacts?
Yeah, so we had a great spring and summer season, which is a key ingredient to a wonderful fall up here. Recently, we've experienced some warmer days and our nights have been cooling down just a little bit, which those are really two of the key ingredients for a phenomenal fall. Some of our education staff here has said that because of this weather, we can experience the fall color for more than a month, most likely, on the mountain here.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic. All right. So for people who never have gone to Grandfather Mountain, I've been fortunate enough to, do a day trip or do some drive-throughs and just sort of soak up the colors. What do you tell them? I mean, people really can't imagine what it's like until they see it for themselves.
Oh, sure. So we do have several tips and tricks for folks who are visiting for the first time or who are coming back to see us after a long hiatus from the mountain. So you can visit our website, grandfather.com, and on the homepage, we have two really helpful things. There's a fall color gallery. We update that daily so you can see how the fall color is changing in real time on the mountain and kind of plan your trip around that. And then we also have a fall color preview and tips page, which is all kinds of tips for planning your trip, from whether you should pack a picnic or not, what kind of clothing you should wear on the mountain, when the best time to visit is. And then we highly encourage anyone and everyone to book your tickets in advance for this season on our website. This is a very busy time of year on the mountain, and we want everyone to come up and enjoy it. So do be sure to book those tickets in advance.
Okay. And then how about talk about some of these guided walks? What makes them so special?
Sure, we actually have a series starting this weekend called our Fall Color Ramble. Those are led by the mountain's naturalists. So you can take a 30-minute guided walk with a naturalist and not only experience and see the beauty of the mountain, but learn a bit of the science behind why the leaves are changing colors, why some seasons you may see more reds than you do yellows. So you get that really interesting educational tidbit with your trip to the mountain.
All right, beyond the obvious beauty there, what makes Grandfather Mountain so special and meaningful for your team, and why should visitors come up?
Oh gosh, that's the hardest question you've asked. You really have to come up to the mountain, and the feeling that you get when you do explains perfectly why this place is so special. We have just so much unique ecology up here that it's just amazing. There are endangered species, up to 72 of those that you may have never seen before or not realized that we have local to us here. The views are stunning. The people are kind. It's a magical place, and it really needs to be experienced.
Well, I mean, it sounds fantastic. And really, this is just good for a quick getaway, a day trip from the Charlotte metro area, and really just a nice way to get away and explore nature and what makes part of North Carolina so beautiful. Molly, we thank you for joining us this morning, just leaving some of these lasting images of what people can look forward to there in Grandfather Mountain. And appreciate your time this morning. So get your tickets, because it sounds like it's a hot ticket, right?
Yes, of course. Thank you so much. And we can't wait to see you all on the mountain this fall.
All right. Thank you so much as well. Appreciate your time. We need to help support our friends up there in the high country, Western North Carolina, including Grandfather Mountain. Molly, thank you for joining us this morning here on Live Impact News. And we will take a quick break here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Hi, everyone. It's a Friday morning here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, as we bring you the local news headlines like Grandfather Mountain getting ready for some fall foliage and new fall peepers and leaf peepers. It's going to be an exciting time. We're also following some of the national headlines, one being former FBI Director James Comey, after being indicted yesterday. A live picture of his home right now, as he is expected to turn himself in to the feds this morning on 2 counts of federal charges, including making a false statement and obstruction. Our Alice Barr from NBC News has the latest on Comey's situation here now on WCNC Plus.
Incidences of obstruction of justice.
This morning, a former director of the FBI waking up as a felony defendant. James Comey now indicted by a grand jury on charges of making a false statement and obstruction of a congressional proceeding. It is a major escalation against someone President Trump sees as a political enemy.
My family and I have known for years that there are costs to standing up to Donald Trump.
Comey posting this video overnight.
And I'm innocent. So let's have a trial.
as the president celebrated the news with the words "Justice in America." The charges stem from congressional testimony Comey gave in September 2020 when he was pressed over whether he lied to Congress years earlier about authorizing a leak to the press involving investigations into Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton.
I stand by what the testimony you summarized.
The statute of limitations for the charges was set to run out next week. On Saturday, President Trump publicly pressed Attorney General Pam Bondi to take action against Comey and other perceived political opponents who've investigated him. Yesterday, before the indictment, saying this.
I think I'd be allowed to get involved if I want, but I don't really choose to do so. I can only say that Comey's a bad person.
The top prosecutor tasked with leading the Comey investigation resigned last week rather than seeking an indictment, while a senior DOJ official tells NBC News career prosecutors laid out why they believe there was not enough evidence to charge in a memo to President Trump's hand-picked replacement and former personal attorney Lindsay Halligan, who has no experience as a prosecutor and is now the only one to sign Comey's charging papers. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
All right, so as we continue to follow the developments on if we see former FBI Director Comey walk into the federal courthouse, we will bring that to you here on Live Impact News. Back here in the Carolinas, of course, 1 year since Hurricane Helene hit the area and the devastation it caused. That 1 year mark is tomorrow. So all week we've been bringing you the stories of survival, the challenges people faced up there. Our Jesse Pierre talked to a couple who faced a real basic challenge in Hendersonville: access to clean water.
This home behind me was hit by 2 landslides and their well was completely destroyed. And for Katie Zaremba and her family, that meant they had no access to drinkable water for about 7 months.
I kind of anticipated we would lose power, but wasn't prepared for what actually happened. We had a tree went through the back of the house that kind of came in through the kitchen. The shed in our backyard was up on our back deck. Pretty much all the mud and just debris was up against the back of the house. The deck probably helped save our house.
Katie Zaremba remembers when Hurricane Helene came in like a wrecking ball.
Right here.
She says the landslides did most of the damage.
It took the wellhead completely off, so water and debris and mud just flooded into the well.
In the wake of Helene, water was everywhere, but not a drop safe to drink. For months, Zaremba's family lived off bottled water.
It was really stressful, of course, not having clean water in the house, and everything we were depending on was bottled water. So we were buying it for a while. Then we found some volunteer groups that we were able to get it from, and we were getting it from the distribution center for a while.
Across western North Carolina, thousands face the same fate. That is when the Waterwell Trust poured in to help.
There were at least 10,000 private wells impacted by Helene. So that is 10,000 households who lost their water during the flooding and the landslides.
The nonprofit funding repairs and new wells for more than a dozen families, even stepping in for fire departments and churches that served as emergency hubs after the storm.
Where they were giving out food and supplies and everything else, but they didn't have water. So this now ensured that people could come and fill up their tanks and et cetera and have access.
The support, one less worry for Zaremba and her family during an already overwhelming recovery.
It was a huge blessing given the amount of just costs that we have been facing since the storm.
When you are able to give people back a water resource, or for the first time even, give them a reliable water resource, it is absolutely life-changing for them.
The need for support is still overflowing. The trust says they continue to work with families to restore wells damaged by the storm. Jesse Pierre, WCNC Charlotte.
And we will continue to bring live coverage and the stories from Boone. Our Vanessa Rufus up there in downtown Boone this afternoon. She'll join us here on WCNC Charlotte starting at 4 o'clock. And our Ben Thompson there, of course, early this morning for the morning team on WCNC Charlotte. Live coverage continuing until tomorrow. And our hurricane special, if you missed it last night, again, will air tonight on WCNC Plus and WCNC Charlotte at 8. Okay, right now, time is 9:35, and I'm calling this our health block. In health news, as we do transition into fall, weather changes, we're feeling a little bit. The storms, the shifts in the barometric pressure, along with disrupted sleep patterns are common triggers to something that can be just debilitating, migraines. And it is far more complex than just a severe headache.
Affecting 40 million Americans and associated with symptoms like moderate to severe headache, nausea, vomiting, light, sound, and smell sensitivity, visual changes, even mood changes. For many, they can experience multiple migraine attacks in a month, which can severely impact their work, family, social, and overall health outcomes. We do have preventive treatments available, and these medications can help reduce overall frequency, severity, duration, and disability of migraine attacks. Qulipta was recently studied in a head-to-head trial versus topiramate, an oral generic for the prevention of migraine.
So if you want more information, you definitely want to consult your healthcare provider and look into working some of these medications that are now out on the market and identify the triggers, and explore some treatment options for your migraine headaches. All right, well, just in time for Halloween, there's also something that is scary happening to our skin, I guess. You can't even see it. That's what makes it scary. Scientists discovering what they're calling zombie cells. Yeah, it's a real thing.
They are actually scientifically known as senescent cells, and they really do exist. These are these sleeping surface skin cells, and they accumulate as we age, and they lead to lack of firm skin, crepey skin, dull skin, and wrinkled skin, and dry skin, and so nothing good. But the good news is we do have a novel treatment category that we can use, a novel skincare product that we can use to treat it. And remember, skin aging, you don't have to see that skin aging. You will have aging skin that starts in your 20s.
Carlene, aging
Scary.
skin in your 20s.
Aging skin is terrifying in itself.
Isn't
and then you add these zombie cell things.
Who knew?
Who knew?
Zombie cells.
More things to worry about. Great.
Yeah.
Love that.
You know, they have those creams with the for the crepey skin. I
Sure.
keep on thinking I'm going to get it one day.
One day.
I'm going to try it out.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Right.
Skincare and all these things.
They know something we don't.
Yeah. So zombie cells or skin, what have you. I put sunscreen on my hands.
Yep.
Especially when I drive.
Yep.
So
sunscreen.
good for you.
I do. I put moisturize my hands, my
Yes.
chest, my face.
Yep, got to do it.
Every
Well,
day.
you're beautiful.
Oh,
you look
thank you.
youthful.
So do you.
Who knew you were 70 years old?
Guys, I'm 70 years old. Can
70.
you believe it?
See what can happen? It's good stuff.
Gotta moisturize.
Moisturizing. You got to do it.
Moisturize before bed. Moisturize your hands.
Everything.
Your elbows.
Yes.
Everything. You don't want old hands.
Yeah, and it really shows up when it's dry.
Yes.
Simple moisturizer will help. All right, and so with that, get your moisturizer out. You got 2 minutes. We'll be right back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back to Live Impact News here. Time right now is 9:41. We're continuing to follow some developing news. This is a live picture outside of the U.S. courthouse in Virginia, where former FBI James Comey is expected to turn himself in this morning to federal investigators after being indicted yesterday. Also, he is... we have a live picture of his home as well there in Virginia. So everyone seems to be staking out his comings and goings today. He is expected again. This U.S. District Court 401 in Alexandria, Virginia, as the camera pans off. And no, that is not him, but a lot of boxes of files. I would assume the legal teams are busy this morning. All right, so we bring you that. Right now, we're also covering some of the stories out of Western North Carolina and how they're recovering. Our week-long coverage continuing from our Richard Devane, who is in Blowing Rock and showing us a yearly tradition of sorts to go up there for the train. He has this story for you this morning here on WCNC Plus.
Good Friday morning, everyone. Stories of the suffering, but also stories of resiliency right here in Blowing Rock. Chris is back with us this morning, co-owner of Tweetsie Railroad. Basically, what's the most important?
All right, so as soon as I threw to Richard's package, we saw Secretary Duffy, Transportation Duffy. He is at a live event this morning. This is an event that is on trucking safety press conference there. Let's go to it here live on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
And it is a national emergency that requires action right now. This isn't fear-mongering. This is a serious business that entails American families and their lives. So this year alone, a series of horrific fatal crashes have been caused by dangerous non-domiciled CDL drivers. So I want to go through a couple of examples. I'll pull the first one up here. On March 14th in Texas, a truck driver failed to brake and crashed into a long line of traffic. This caused a 17-vehicle pileup that killed 5 people, including 2 children, and 11 were hospitalized. A post-crash investigation revealed a history of unsafe lane changes, ignoring traffic signs, and multiple violations of hour of service rules. I want to go to slide 2 here. On May 6th in Alabama, a driver with less than 6 weeks of experience slammed his tractor and trailer into 4 vehicles stopped at a red light. He killed 2 people and he injured 4. He had previously failed his skills test for speeding and his skills test. The crash occurred on just his 3rd day of employment with his carrier. And my third example, this of course was the fatal car crash in Florida earlier this summer, and many in the media had reported on that. On August 12th, the driver who had attempted an unauthorized U-turn on the Florida Turnpike caused this crash. It caused a minivan to crash into his trailer, killing 3 people. The driver had a prior speeding ticket and was non-proficient in English. He had previously been issued a CDL improperly by the state of Washington. He now faces multiple counts of vehicular homicide and manslaughter. So again, in each of these tragedies, the drivers were non-domiciled. We have an obligation to keep the American people safe, and that requires action today. That's why under President Trump's leadership, we have launched a nationwide audit of non-domiciled CDLs to get to the bottom of what we think is causing this crisis. We've heard from truckers and safety advocates and news reports that something was seriously wrong. It was alleged that the open border policies of the last administration has led to an exploitation of our nation's trucking licensing system. So today, I'm here to tell you after our audit that those reports, they're all true. What our audit has already discovered should anger every single American. So here's what we've learned. Just want to walk through it. First, our audit revealed a systemic breakdown among states to follow the law and issue licenses properly. States are failing to follow even the most basic procedures. We even uncovered widespread procedural errors, computer programming flaws, and a gross lack of oversight in the states that issue CDLs. This means that thousands of licenses that should never have been issued actually were issued. States are issuing licenses that extend months and even years beyond a driver's lawful presence in the U.S. This is a direct incentive to stay in our country illegally beyond their authorized work permit. They have driver's licenses. So in some disturbing cases, they have failed to validate a driver's lawful presence before handing them a commercial license. It's deeply disturbing, but even worse. Our second finding was that the current federal regulations are allowing dangerous, unqualified drivers on American roadways. This means that even when the rules are being followed, dangerous individuals who shouldn't be near a big rig are getting behind the wheel and causing crashes on our roadways. Eligibility requirements are deeply flawed and they're way too broad. They're simply not strong enough to prevent more of these horrific crashes from occurring in America. The system, it's failed, and it's a national emergency. So the combination of a catastrophic failure of states to follow the law and a broken system has created an imminent hazard to American travelers. That is why today I'm announcing two immediate major actions. Number one, we're issuing an emergency rule that fundamentally overhauls who is eligible for a non-domiciled CDL. These tighter federal standards, they're going to keep Americans and families safe on our roadways. Now, this is not a proposal. This is a final rule. And it is effective immediately. Jesse's going to go through those details in just a little bit, but here's the bottom line. Non-citizens will not be eligible for a CDL unless they meet a much stricter set of rules. Second, all states must immediately pause the issuance of non-domiciled CDLs until they can comply with our new rules. My message, it's very simple. Get into compliance now, or we'll pull funding and we'll force you into compliance. Nowhere in the country have we found a more egregious licensing situation than in the state of California. That's why the second action we're announcing today is an additional enforcement action against California. So for 2 weeks, FMCSA investigators were on site in California actually looking at their records. So we took a random sample. Investigators found that more than 1 in 4 non-domiciled CDLs were issued in direct violation of federal safety standards. So let's just put that another way. Over 25% of these licenses, they were issued illegally. So let me give you some examples. So on this slide, this is driver PND from Brazil. So California gave him a CDL with endorsements to drive a passenger bus and a school bus that was valid for months after his legal presence in the U.S. had expired. They put an authorized driver in a position to transport our kids on a school bus well beyond their date of work authorization. Number 2, this is driver JHB, a citizen of Mexico who is ineligible for a non-domiciled CDL. Mexican and Canadian drivers, or citizens, I should say, are not eligible for a U.S. CDL. California gave him one anyway, with a doubles and triples endorsement that expires more than 3 years after his work authorization ends. And so to be clear, we have a special relationship with Canada and Mexico, where if you're a citizen of one of those countries, you have to get a CDL in Mexico or in Canada. You can't come to the U.S. and get a U.S. CDL. So this license completely violates the rules, number one, and number two, expires after the work authorization. So 2 violations with this license. The third example, this is driver MOC, who is also ineligible as a Mexico citizen. California issued that license that expires more than 4 years after his work authorization ends. Again, another example where the clear rules say this driver should not have a license. And example number 4, this is driver ASV from Honduras. The DMV had no evidence it even bothered to validate his lawful presence before issuing a commercial license with tanker and double triples endorsements. So again, they don't even validate that he has a work authorization and should be issued a license in the United States, and California issued that license anyway. The work document that they had on file had been expired for 4 years, and they issued the license anyway. They didn't know if he was here illegally or not. They didn't validate it. They didn't verify it. It's shocking, and this is an unacceptable failure. It shows a reckless disregard for safety in California, and they should be ashamed of themselves. So California has 30 days to fix this. And by the way, we all know this, but if you get a CDL in California, you don't stay in California. You can drive nationwide. And so those California licenses are driven on roads in every single state in this country. And again, putting American families, American drivers at risk because of the bad action in California. If California doesn't comply, we're going to withhold federal highway funds. It's going to start at $160 million in the first year. We're going to double that in year 2. I want to close with this. This is not the ending. This is just the beginning. Our team identified non-domiciled CDLs that were issued improperly in Colorado, Pennsylvania, South Dakota, Texas, and in Washington. Those states should know that enforcement actions against them are forthcoming. And we expect the list of states to grow as our nationwide audit continues. So to every other state, consider this your notice. Fix your system. Fix your rules. Comply with the law. Every governor must immediately begin a top-to-bottom audit of every non-domiciled issued CDL in your state. And if you find any license that was not issued properly, revoke it. Get rid of it. Keep your streets safe, all of our streets safe. Bring your programs into compliance. You do not want the blood of more traffic deaths on your hands, governors. You do not want that. Now, I want to go through these details further. And again, Jesse Elison is our chief counsel at FMCSA, and he'll walk through those details right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. As Secretary Duffy has outlined, FMCSA has recently become aware of a critical safety failure. Really, it's a crisis on 2 fronts. The eligibility requirements for obtaining a non-domiciled commercial learner permit and commercial driver's license, or CLP, and CDLs are not narrowly tailored to provide sufficient safety. The second front is the existing regulatory framework is unworkable in practice due to the systematic deficiencies in state implementation. So FMCSA, in good faith, cannot permit this demonstrably failed non-domiciled credentialing system to continue in its current framework. Therefore, we find good cause to issue this IFR. This interim final rule, as Secretary Duffy has mentioned, is effective immediately. And this finding is based on the determination that a regular notice and public procedure are both contrary to the public interest and just not practical, because it would delay the adoption and the immediate implementation of the new strict standards for the issuance of CLPs and CDLs. To address this 2-front crisis, we need to act immediately. As Secretary Duffy said, it's an imminent hazard to public safety. I'll take just a brief overview. I'll provide a brief overview of the changes in the rule and direct you to, the FMCSA will be providing a more extensive breakdown of the changes in the rule. But generally it does four things. The change in the rule tightens eligibility. An employment authorization document alone will not be sufficient to obtain a non-domiciled CDL. Eligibility will be restricted to individuals who have lawfully entered the U.S. under a narrow set of verified employment-based visas, specifically and only H-2B, H-2A, and E-2. Secondly, the rule mandates verification. As Secretary Duffy had highlighted, there are many instances where states are not even verifying the underlying immigration documents. But they will now be required to use the Federal Save Immigration Database to verify an applicant's lawful status for every single issuance and renewal of a non-domiciled CDL, no exceptions. Thirdly, there'll be a shortened renewal requirement. The license will now expire when the driver's employment-based visa ends, or in 1 year, or whichever comes first. This will safeguard against the reckless practice of issuing licenses long after a driver's authority to be in the country has expired. And finally, this rule will require in-person renewal.
You've been watching live a press conference from Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy on trucking safety. We'll get back to that here shortly. We're also waiting for North Carolina Governor Josh Stein to speak. They're in Pigeon Gorge, marking the 1-year anniversary since Hurricane Helene hit. This is a live picture right now along I-40, where the governor is also supposed to do a ride-along. So we will also be following this and dipping into this coverage as we see it come up live here as well, up on our feed on Live Impact News on WCNC+. In the meantime, we'll take a quick break. They are supposed to start at 10 o'clock, so we will check in right at the top of the hour here on Live Impact News on WCNC+. Stay with us. Hi, everyone. It is Friday morning here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus at 10 o'clock. I'm Jane Monreal. Thank you for joining us and for downloading the WCNC Plus app to your Apple, Roku, and Fire TVs. We are monitoring a couple of stories today. First, the governor of North Carolina, Josh Stein, set to speak here from Pigeon River Gorge and do a ride along I-40 as they continue to repair and recover 1 year later after Hurricane Helene hit. We, of course, here at WCNC Charlotte continue to bring you the stories of many of the smaller communities of Western North Carolina that are still on that road to recovery. So as we wait for the governor to show up, we are also monitoring a live press conference. This is from the trucking safety press conference happening in Washington, D.C. We heard from Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy. Right now on the podium is Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration Chief Counsel Jesse Ellison. Let's listen in live.
Regulations and necessary oversight is in place. As Secretary Duffy mentioned, they have 30 days to respond to the non-compliance letter that'll go out today and to provide their corrective action to make the implementations necessary to bring their program into compliance with the law.
We'll take your questions in just a moment. I want to give one point of clarification. So this is not retroactive, and not because we did not want to make this retroactive. This is prospective. If we can find a pathway forward to make it retroactive, we will, because we're very concerned about the issues that have been issued over the course of the last several years. And so that's issue number one. But issue number two, we all saw during COVID how important our truck drivers are to moving supplies, goods, food throughout our country. And we've had a lot of conversations. This is not about the movement of goods. It's follow the law, number one. But we have a lot of drivers who are U.S. citizens who are ready and willing and able to take these loads. And so this is not going to impact the flow of goods at all. We don't need non-domiciled CDL drivers to carry loads in America to make sure our goods travel throughout the country. We have American drivers who are, again, ready, willing, and able to take those loads. And so, again, we're going to force compliance with the law, but this has no impact on the movement of goods because, again, we have great American drivers who are ready to act. With that, if you guys have any questions for us, we'll be happy to take them from you. Yes.
Hi, Bethany Flakes. So you mentioned that this is going to be this is not retroactive. I'm curious because you guys outlined all of these different CDLs that were issued in non-compliant states and the safety risk. Is there going to be some sort of additional review or enforcement action to make sure that the CDLs that were improperly issued are actually taken care of?
Yes. We have a lot of work ahead of us at FMCSA to ensure the integrity of each of the states' state driver's licensing agency. And so there will be additional oversight to make sure we have 100% confidence that their systems are compliant.
Yeah. I'm Public Charge with Politico. I just have two questions. First, I just wanted to clarify, is DOT pausing, is DOT asking that California only pause its issuing of non-domiciled CDLs or all states that don't comply?
All states. We're asking all states to pause their issuance of non-domiciled CDLs and to ensure that any additional issuance of a non-domiciled CDL is consistent with the rule that is immediate effectively.
And another question for Secretary Duffy. A few evenings ago, news outlets reported that the White House sent out a memo to agencies asking them to prepare reduction in force plans in the case of a government shutdown. If a shutdown does happen, which DOT jobs and programs are you looking to potentially cut?
I would refer you to OMB on the memo. But as I've talked about from this podium frequently, we are in the midst of a modernization effort of our air traffic control system. You've heard me talk about our supercharged effort to bring more air traffic controllers into the workforce, get them through the academy, get them trained up. And again, this is bipartisan. Democrats and Republicans approve and support what we're doing because we all fly. I'm concerned that what Senate Democrats are doing could jeopardize our efforts in modernization and could jeopardize our ability to continue to train new graduates at the academy. I'm going to do all I can. We've had a number of conversations to figure out a pathway forward should the Democrats in the Senate shut down our government. I hope that doesn't happen. But again, we have a lot of really important issues that we work on that keep people safe. And again, I don't want Democrats to give me a ripple effect that can come not just in the months, but the years into the future because of this shutdown. Yes.
Thanks, Secretary. Chase Williams, Fox Business. You said if California doesn't comply, you're going to withhold federal highway fund. I think you said $160 million. That'll double in year 2. Have you spoken to Governor Newsom, and have there been any discussions between you two?
We haven't talked. I've seen some tweets he sent out, but no, we haven't had a conversation. Open to talk to him. Again, we just want compliance. We want him to be concerned about the safety of California roads, but also American roads. And he should look at the data, look at the noncompliance, and realize that we have a lot of tools in our toolbox to get California to comply. And again, there's a lot of California drivers that are American that want to take those loads.
And I guess a follow-up quickly. The $7,500 federal EV tax credit expires next week on Tuesday. What does this mean for the future of EVs?
Listen, I think the president's been clear on this. He believes in markets. And again, the future of EVs, a lot of people love their EVs. They want to buy them. They work really well for them. And others don't. They want a combustion engine. And so, again, the future of EVs is going to be based on market principles, I think is a positive. And again, EV is going to go away because you don't get $7,500 for your vehicle or towards the purchase of your vehicle. No, they're not going to go away. But again, they'll have to comply with market demands and the interests of the consumer. Yes.
Elizabeth, the Daily Signal. Yes, about California. Have you spoken to governors, transportation officials, other states you found to be in violation, like Texas or red state?
We have not. Again, I want to treat everybody fairly. I don't want to play politics. As you'll note in this list, there's Republican-led states and Democrat-led states. We are going to give them, the other states, time to come into compliance, but we've seen the most egregious action from California, and again, that's why we've taken this action with California. But if other states don't come into compliance, give us their plan for compliance, we'll have the same actions with every state who doesn't keep their roadways, American roadways, safe. Yes.
Thanks, Jacob with Scripps News. 2 questions, if I may. First, just you mentioned there are plenty of Americans who want these jobs, but
we'll be watching that.
All right, right now we're going to go to this. Just moments ago, President Trump talking from the White House before going to Joint Base Air Force Andrews for his departure to Ryder Cup.
Hello, Peter. And it's looking like we have a deal on Gaza. And we'll let you know. I think it's a deal that will get the hostages back. It's going to be a deal that will end the war. It's going to be a deal with, it's going to be peace. I think we have a deal. That'll be number 8, Peter. Not bad.
Mr. President, I'm James Comey. Now that James Comey has been indicted, who is the next person on your list in this retribution?
It's not a list, but I think there'll be others. I mean, they're corrupt. These were corrupt, radical left Democrats. Because Comey essentially was he's worse than a Democrat. I would say the Democrats are better than Comey. But no, there'll be others. Look, that's my opinion. They weaponized the Justice Department like nobody in history. What they've done is terrible. And so I hope there are others, because you can't let this happen to a country.
Will you appoint a permanent U.S. attorney to try this case? Lindsey Halligan has never tried a case.
We'll see, but it's a pretty easy case because, look, he lied. You saw my truth today. He lied. It was yes, no. He didn't say, well, in my opinion. He didn't do a lot of things that maybe he should have, but I don't think he could because he lied. That was a very important question that he was asked, and he wanted to be specific, but he didn't. The only thing that happened to him, he didn't think he'd get caught. But that answer that he gave, that was a very important answer, and it was for him, it was a very good answer if he didn't get caught. But he got caught lying to Congress.
How is this not politicizing the justice? President, you met the Australian. So, President Trump, are you worried now that the next time there's a Democratic president, they will
indict your FBI director or people in your administration?
That's what they tried to do, right? They did it with me. For 4 years, they went after me. They went after me for 4 years, and that doesn't include the 4 great years that we had in the White House. So when I ran it from, 2016 when we won, it began before I got to office. You know that. Wait a minute. Before I came to office, I started hearing rumors about Russia. I said, what the hell do I have to do with Russia? Nothing. And then it got worse and worse, and some of the fakers, not you, but some of the fake news picked it up and they loved it. And we went through a long time with that. And despite that, we had a great first term.
Because that's how it went, where they made you go and take a mugshot. Is this more about justice or is it about revenge?
It's about justice, really. It's not revenge. It's about justice. It's also about the fact that you can't let this go on. They are sick, radical left people, and they can't get away with it. And Comey was one of the people. He wasn't the biggest, but he's a dirty cop. He's always been a dirty cop. Everybody knew it. And it's, as far as the case is concerned, he gave an answer. It was a strong answer. He then verified it a couple of times because that was a very important answer. If he would have equivocated, if he would have been like a little bit less sure, that would have been very bad for him. So he gave an answer. The only problem is for him, he didn't think it'd be caught, and he got caught, Peter. This is about justice. He lied a lot, but this was a very important thing. He could have said, well, maybe, or I don't remember. He didn't say that. He gave a very specific answer, and then he verified it numerous times, and he got caught. The problem that Comey has is he got caught lying, and he was very strong. It's not like, well, maybe, or I don't remember. He gave a very specific answer because it was a very powerful question, a very important question. And when he gave the answer, the only problem is he got caught. So.
Mr. President. Are you worried about American workers suffering if the government shuts down? And do you have plans to come in?
Well, we're going to see, but the radical left Democrats want to shut it down. I mean, it's up to them. We have a great economy going. You saw the numbers yesterday. They're fantastic. The economy's doing well. Prices are down. We have virtually no inflation. Everything's going good. We're respected by every nation in the world. And you know what happened? The Democrats want to shut it down. And they want to shut it down because they want to give billions, ultimately trillions of dollars to illegal migrants, people that came into our country illegally. Some of those people are criminals, but they came into our country illegally, and they want to give them the essential over years, trillions of dollars, and our people aren't going to stand for it. They also want to have open borders. They want to have men and women's sports. They want to have transgender for everybody. These people are crazy, the Democrats. So if it has to shut down, it'll have to shut down. But they're the ones that are shutting down.
And you were watching just moments ago President Trump leaving the White House in the smaller box. You could see that is the live picture as he just boarded Air Force One, headed to Bethpage, New York for the first day of the Ryder Cup. So comments there from the president on the indictment of former FBI Director James Comey, and just the last images before he left for Air Force One, which is now getting ready to go to Bethpage. We want to bring you some breaking news right now. This is in the Steel Creek Division. You're looking at a live picture of our crew on scene where CMPD is investigating a homicide now. This is in the 1600 block of De Beer Avenue. We are waiting to get more information on this. All we know is that it is a homicide investigation here in this area, but we can see the yellow tape at this hotel the Wood Spring Suites as PD units are blocking the parking lot there. So we're going to work on getting more information on this as well. Let's get you out now to Governor Josh Stein, a live press conference, an event as the 1-year anniversary of Helene is tomorrow, and his ride along I-40 is set for today. Let's listen in live.
The Division 14 team, y'all have literally moved mountains to reopen roads across this division, and we could not be more grateful. Thank you so much. Pleased to be here with Secretary Joey Hopkins, who is in his last week of the job, so he is the happiest man here by far. It's incredible to think how much work you have helped to oversee and lead your team to accomplish in the past year, and Joey, we are all incredibly grateful for your service. He wanted to quit when I took office, and I said, you can't. And he did me the favor of staying on a number of months, and we're all really grateful. Really pleased that our incoming Secretary of Transportation, Daniel Johnson, is here. Daniel, we got a lot of work to do, you and me, and I know you're up to it, and grateful for your service. Also joined by DOT Board Chair, Tony Lathrop. It's good to have our partner, our Federal Highway Administrator Sean McMaster here today, and we look forward to hearing his remarks. He gave us some awesome news this week. $1.15 billion from the U.S. Department of Transportation to help repair North Carolina's roads. Thank you, Sean. These dollars are going to make a big difference in moving this effort forward across the region. We'll let him get into more details, but obviously our partnership with the U.S. Department of Transportation, Federal Highway Administration is critical to our ultimate success. We're joined by USDA Forest Service Supervisor James Malonis. James, thank you. It's through his partnership that we're able to get all this aggregate to the project in the most efficient way, safest way possible. Two excellent partners from the General Assembly I see, Representative Eric Ager and Senator Julie Mayfield. Any other legislators? General Assembly has been a critical ally, and I met and saw a number of local officials, and we are grateful for your work as well. Today, this weekend, is an emotional time. We're one day shy of 1 year since Hurricane Helene swept through western North Carolina, and that storm's devastation turned millions of people's lives upside down, and the impacts continue to ripple through this day. 108 lives were taken from us. Their families will grieve their absences to the end of their days. Tens of thousands of folks lost their homes. Thousands and thousands more lost their businesses or their livelihoods. Folks became totally disconnected. No communications, no water, no electricity, no means to get from one place to the other. In the aftermath of the storm, heroes emerged, and the employees of the North Carolina Department of Transportation are among the best. Helene damaged 9,400 sites along roads and bridges, and the damage forced 1,450 complete road closures. Over 1,400 roads completely shut down. This section of I-40 on the Pigeon River Gorge was one of the roads that we had to close. NCDOT and its contractors worked through the winter to stabilize 10 separate locations along this 4-mile stretch. Just getting the materials to the location posed a challenge even before the rebuilding could begin. Yet despite those challenges, on March 1st, in only about 5 months, we reopened I-40. I'm incredibly grateful to the NCDOT engineers, mechanics, crews, and contractors for their incredible efforts. And as you can see all around you, construction on permanent repairs on I-40 are well underway. In the meantime, the interstate is open and keeping people connected. I'm glad we have this sound of traffic through this press conference, because it means people can get from North Carolina to Tennessee and places beyond. This project is truly a symbol of our greater recovery efforts. And we have many partners to thank for getting us to this point. The General Assembly, the North Carolina Department of Transportation, the U.S. Department of Transportation, the Federal Highway Administration, the National Park Service provided much needed funding and permitting that is keeping this recovery moving forward. But by no means is I-40 our only transportation focus. In fact, just a year later, 97% of all state-maintained roads closed by Helene have been reopened. 97% of the roads. I'm so appreciative to our team at the Department of Transportation and their contractors. My team and I have sought to bring the same urgency, grit, and heart to the broader recovery effort. I've been pleased to work with our legislature to pass 2 separate bills in excess of $1 billion to address recovery needs, and we are putting those funds to work. Along with our nonprofit partners, our Western North Carolina Small Business Initiative granted awards totaling $55 million to more than 2,100 small businesses to help them get back on their feet. We've awarded nearly 50,000 scholarships and grants to students of our universities and community colleges. We've removed more than 16 million cubic yards of debris. Folks, that's equivalent to about 5,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools. Our small business infrastructure program is helping local governments rebuild sidewalks and stormwaters so that locals and tourists alike can come back to downtown and enjoy and shop at our small businesses. In June, the First Lady and I were out here launching the state's new tourism campaign, Western North Carolina, Rediscover the Unforgettable. The people and places of Western North Carolina truly are unforgettable. I want to reassure folks out here, we have not forgotten you and we will not forget you. We have a lot more work to do, and I'm grateful for every federal dollar that the state has received, but to be frank, it isn't enough. The average federal contribution to a state after a major storm as a percentage of the total damage is about 50%. To date, North Carolina has received 11%. I'm calling on Congress to pass a new $13.5 billion appropriation to send more support our way. The people of Western North Carolina deserve their fair share. I was in D.C. last week meeting with the administration and Congress, making this case. It's about helping people get back in their homes, small businesses get back on their feet, and roads getting restored for the long haul. In this work, the people of Western North Carolina are our inspiration. If the federal and state governments can bring the same urgency and determination that the people of Western North Carolina have showed, we will get this done. So let's do it. Let's keep at this work, and together let's build a safer and stronger Western North Carolina. I want to thank you, and I'm pleased to invite Administrator McMaster. We welcome you to North Carolina. You are welcome anytime, but you are especially welcome when you have $1 billion check.
Hey, good morning.
And you've been watching Governor
pleasure to
Josh
be here
Stein's
today.
remarks there along I-40
here
as
on
he gets
behalf
ready
of
for
President Trump,
a little
Secretary
ride
Duffy,
along as they
part of the department's
continue to
efforts
repair
and
things
the
on
promise to help
I-40
rebuild
and the border
I-40.
between
I'd like to
Tennessee
thank
and
Governor
the
Josh
Tar Heel
Stein,
State.
NCDOT,
We'll be right back here in 2 minutes.
Secretary
Stay
Joey
with us as we
Hopkins,
continue our
incoming
local
NCDOT
coverage
Secretary
on
Daniel
one-year
Johnson,
anniversary
the
of
U.S.
Hurricane
Forest
Helene.
Service, and everyone joining us here today.
Welcome back to Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. 10:27 is the time here on a Friday morning. I'm Jane Monreal. We continue to cover stories from Western North Carolina and a live press conference now. We heard from Governor Josh Stein moments ago. We are continuing the coverage now and listen in on NCDOT. On WCNC Plus. Let's get you back out to Pigeon River Gorge.
Concerns, and we took that to heart. Deputy Transportation Secretary Bradbury was down here earlier this month because the administration believes in the power of getting boots on the ground. Our presence here today is a reflection of our commitment to all of you. We are here today because Secretary Duffy just announced an additional $1.15 billion for the North Carolina Department of Transportation to help with Hurricane Helene recovery. This is the largest single allocation of emergency relief funding that has ever been allocated to one state in the department's history. The FHWA also provided more than $500 million in quick release emergency relief program funds, including $350 million to the North Carolina Department of Transportation. Combined, North Carolina DOT will receive a total of nearly $2 billion to help with the hurricane recovery effort. Thanks in part to this funding, the North Carolina DOT was able to reopen one lane in each direction on I-40. The Tennessee DOT also completed similar repairs. We know how crucial this roadway is for travel and commerce, and we're doing everything we can to get it reopened fully as quickly as possible. I-40 is a vital interstate that allows people and goods to travel across Asheville and western North Carolina through the mountains of eastern Tennessee. From families taking road trips to large freight trucks, the impact of I-40 travel has been felt throughout North Carolina. I cannot overstate the impact, which is why fully reopening I-40 is a top priority for U.S. DOT. Under Secretary Duffy's leadership, the FHWA partnered with the U.S. Forest Service to quickly clear legal barriers so North Carolina could access construction materials from Pisgah National Forest instead of 20 to 50 miles away. And now that decision is paying off right behind us. As crews prepare to pull rock from just down the road, this cut costs and time by nearly 2/3, saving taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars. My thanks to the U.S. Forest Service for working with us to expedite this work, to reconstruct I-40 as quickly and effectively as possible. In addition, aggregate industry leaders delivered aggregate from temporary repairs, which included restoring one lane in each direction on I-40. They also provided aggregate for the causeway constructed to aid in the permanent repair of I-40. This is what real results look like: cutting red tape, saving time and money, and delivering for North Carolina families. But it's not just I-40. The Trump administration is committed to accelerating project delivery across the nation as we work to get America building again. Under Secretary Duffy's leadership, we're moving at lightning speed to deliver results for the American people. In just the first 9 months, the department has cleared roughly 90% of the 3,200 project backlog we inherited, delivered more than 2,000 projects worth roughly $31 billion, launched 52 deregulatory actions, cutting 600,000 unnecessary words, put President Trump's executive order into action, killing unnecessary regulations and unleashing prosperity. I want to thank you for inviting me to speak to you today. We share a common interest in ensuring that our nation's transportation system is as robust as possible. I look forward to our continued work together. Thank you. And now, let me turn it over to our next speaker, Forest Supervisor James Malonis.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to speak here today. Just a year ago, just like so many in Western North Carolina, I was stuck in my house in Asheville with no way of contacting my team to know if they were safe or any way to know the impacts Helene was having around us. So much has been accomplished since that time, and that's thanks in large part to the strong collaboration between governments here in North Carolina. Governor Stein, I can't express enough how glad I am of the partnership between the Forest Service and all the state agencies that we work with, especially Secretary Hopkins and the entire NCDOT team. There are 4 national forests in North Carolina. Each one is crisscrossed by state-managed highways. We work closely with the North Carolina Department of Transportation daily, enough so that we have a position in my office whose job it is to manage this partnership and serve as a point of contact between our 2 organizations. It's the strength of that partnership that made this celebration today possible. The work to rebuild I-40 is easily one of the most important recovery projects in Western North Carolina, if not the single most important. Right behind us is a small portion of the 500,000-acre Pisgah National Forest, one of the most visited national forests in the country, where NCDOT crews are preparing to extract the materials for this critical project. While our NCDOT colleagues are preparing to begin this work, we're already looking toward the future and the work that will happen after the extraction is complete. So not only are we working together with the DOT on the restoration of the borrowing area itself, but we've also entered into an agreement that will improve water quality and wildlife habitat throughout the Pigeon River Gorge. And the agreement will also add more than 1,000 acres of working forest land to the Pisgah National Forest. We're very grateful and proud to play a part in this project, and the Forest Service stands shoulder to shoulder with our state and federal partners as we see this project through to the end. Thank you, and it's my pleasure to welcome my friend, NCDOT Secretary Joey Hopkins.
Good morning. Thank you, Supervisor Malonis. Appreciate that. Our number 1 priority this past year has been to help the folks in Western North Carolina recover from Hurricane Helene. As you've heard, this is the most destructive storm in our state's history. The impacts to transportation alone, to the state-maintained transportation network alone, are in the range of $5 billion. To put that in perspective, from 2016 to just before Helene, our department has spent about $600 million on all named and declared storms in North Carolina. That's a big difference in just that one storm. I want to thank Secretary Duffy, Administrator McMaster, for their leadership and the recent announcement for the $1.1 billion. As Administrator said, that puts us almost at $2 billion commitment from the Federal Highway Administration to help us recover from Helene. Not only will that help us do the important work we have to do, but that will also help minimize any disruption to our other programs that we have ongoing across the state. And that funding is welcome and it's needed, so thank you very much. As the governor mentioned, the storm damaged about 94 different sections of roads. It also damaged over 840 bridges and 1,700 pipes and culverts. And as you can see, this hard work that has been going on this past year is paying off. As of this past month, we've completed repairs at more than 6,500 individual sites. As the governor mentioned, we've reopened about 97% of all the roads that were closed. And we've repaired more than 500 of those damaged and destroyed bridges and nearly all of the damaged pipes. Our crews and partners' efforts have been historic and also heroic. Right here on I-40, just on the other side of the tunnel, our IMAP drivers and a handful of employees rushed to save lives during the storm. As the interstate crumbled into the river below, they turned traffic back to Tennessee. Motorists were looking through their windshield as the road fell apart in front of them. Our folks backed those vehicles out, they calmed the motorists, and they evacuated all those motorists without any loss of life or injury. This is just one example of the efforts our crews have exerted over the last year. The governor mentioned that we were able to open up 2 lanes of I-40 March 1st, and that has made a big difference with commerce in western part of the state and points beyond. Several years of work still remain here, even after all of this effort. But as you've heard, the project's getting done faster and at lower cost thanks to the agreement between the U.S. Forest Service and the Federal Highway Administration. And I can't speak enough of the partnership that our department has with both these federal departments, these federal agencies. We've built these relationships working on projects all across the state for many decades now. And what you see behind us is a testament to that partnership and those friendships between our employees and their employees. And it's times like this where you need to have those relationships. Also see my friend back in the audience, U.S. Army Corps of Engineer Colonel. Glad to have you here. You're part of that too. Thank you for your friendship and partnership. We need all of those federal agencies to do this together, and it makes a big difference. Many of the people in yellow vests behind the cameras are on our contract team here, and also our consultant team and our DOT employees. These are the people that are actually doing the work that is approved by these many different agencies, and they're working hard each and every day to help restore this transportation network. With that said, as you've heard from the governor, I have decided to retire, and I'm just a short-timer here. I'm really happy to spend some of my last days here in Western North Carolina, really a place that tells the hardship that's been overcome by the resilience of the people of Western North Carolina and the workers in our state and the partnerships we have. I'm grateful to our DOT team and to all the people I've worked with throughout my career, including our partner agencies and the contractors. Thank you so much. Thank you. We've tackled many challenges and celebrated many successes, especially in this past year. And again, with that said, we've got a lot of work to do in front of us. However, the department is in good hands. Daniel Johnson is taking the reins. Governor Stein and I both have full confidence that he will continue the good work that has happened this past year, and he will do that in a spirit of partnership. Thank you again for supporting the recovery efforts, and I want you to know that our department will see this through to the end. And with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Secretary Johnson for comments.
Good morning. Thank you, Secretary Hopkins. Thank you for your years of service to the Department of Transportation and the people of North Carolina. Thank you for your clear-eyed, steady leadership that set the department on course to restore the roadways and reopen Western North Carolina. And thank you, Governor Stein, for entrusting me with the responsibility to carry forward and build upon the legacy of Secretary Hopkins. I look forward to the challenges and opportunities as I assume the responsibility of serving as Secretary. The largest challenge and greatest opportunity come in continuing the recovery and reconstruction progress led by Secretary Hopkins, our staff in Raleigh, our people on the ground, who are led by division engineers, including Mr. Grindstaff, Tim Anderson, Michael Poe. The scale of destruction the department faced in the wake of Helene was unimaginable. And yet the department rose to the challenge and restored access to this critical infrastructure at an awe-inspiring pace. That pace must continue. While it is important to reflect on the many accomplishments over the past year, there is no time to rest until the restoration of roadways of Western North Carolina is complete. Of course, the department couldn't have gotten to this point without strong collaboration and unprecedented support from our state and federal partners, most notably the U.S. Department of Transportation, Federal Highway Administration, and the United States Forest Service. I want to thank you, Administrator McMaster and Supervisor Malonis, and your teams. I look forward to continuing the collaboration that has allowed for the progress to date and has set the stage for the full restoration of the roadways of Western North Carolina. Finally, I want to thank our families and neighbors, our contractors and suppliers, and the crews from across the state and beyond who have made this massive recovery effort possible. Thank you. Now I want to invite Governor Stein and Secretary Hopkins back to the mic for any questions from the media.
We're happy to take any questions if there are. Yes, sir.
date of time. Did politics ever come up in this recovery process? And if not, what can we all learn from it?
My priority are the people of Western North Carolina. The president and his administration's priority are the people of Western North Carolina. The secretary, all of these hardworking folks, the priority is the people of Western North Carolina. And so when you share a priority, you can come together arm in arm to try to make a difference. There are always going to be moments of tension where we want things to move faster, or we want more, or we want better. And that is natural in any kind of process as massive as this Western North Carolina recovery. But I've been very gratified with our partnership with our federal agencies. Yes, then we'll come back to you.
So I may have to call on some more experts on the extraction, but starting there first. Right behind us are bents for the bridge crossings that will cross over the Pisgah National Forest. I'm sorry, over the Pisgah River. And so there will be a pair of bridges that cross right here, right behind us. And if you look across the river just down below, you see the bents on the other side that's starting that. These round things are piers or bents where the bridge will sit on. And so there'll be two one-way bridges crossing here. They're temporary bridges that will come out once the material has been extracted. Going up behind the mountain behind me is a haul road. So that's being constructed to go to the quarry site to bring the material back across the river that will help to rebuild what we lost for I-40. Yeah, so we will ride some of this after this is over, and I think we're going to go down on the causeway a little bit, and you'll see what we have to build back up to replace what was lost with the flooding of the river. Yeah, thank you, Yuch. And the other question, I'm sorry?
Where's the 1.15?
Okay, so Federal Highway Administration helps us on the federal aid highway system in North Carolina. So the interstate system, U.S. routes, NC routes, and your main secondary roads. So that $1.15 billion with the additional money that we previously got totals roughly $1.9 billion. That will go to the federal share of repairing and replacing those damaged federal aid network highways. So much of that will go to I-40, which you'll see that's estimated to cost us more than $1 billion to repair that. So we've got about a 4-mile stretch just west of the tunnels that we lost either a portion of the shoulder, a portion of the slow lane, or both eastbound lanes by the raging waters after the storm. And the next question, I think.
Yes. Yeah, we too are concerned. Having a briefing at 11 a.m. with our emergency management team and our state climatologist to understand what are the likelihoods of this storm hitting North Carolina. We are getting prepared. The emergency management team will be in consultation with the local county emergency managements. We're talking with our National Guard. We're going to watch the storm exceptionally closely in the coming days to see whether there will be impact on the state middle of next week. We surely hope that there is not. Any other questions? Yes, sir. That's a question. What's the cost to get it done and what needs to be done?
Yeah, so a lot of more detail you'll get on the trip, but just basically we've got to rebuild from the river up what was lost. And so that's mostly the 2 eastbound lanes coming out of Tennessee to right before you get to the tunnel. So that's a lot of work that has to be done. The current estimates have that somewhere just over $1 billion total in repair work to do that. and it will take a few years to get that done. Our target is to have it reopened in late 2028. Mm-hmm.
One more question? Yes, sir. Thank you.
I know that the event was stop in Concord earlier this week, and that's one of those speech you said that this administration was trying to work with you all. You said that you all have been in contact with the president and the vice president about the hurricane relief. I know you're calling on Congress to get more of the money that's been appropriated to you a little faster. I just wanted to see what your response was to the federal government and the administration of the state of the trying to get that kind of money.
There was a tropical storm that hit the Piedmont and a few counties in the center part of the state this summer called Tropical Storm Chantal that in a very concentrated area had a large impact, tens of millions of dollars of damage, people's homes, a lot of infrastructure, a lot of public property. I had applied to the federal government for federal aid, public assistance aid, to help us bear the cost of that storm. And about 2 or 3 weeks ago, the president called me to share the good news that he had granted that request. And we are now going to be in partnership with the federal government to help our neighbors in the central part of the state. In that call, I said I was coming up to Washington the next week to make a request for $13.5 billion of the federal government because North Carolina needs our fair share. Like I said, we are grateful for every dollar the federal government has given us. They just haven't given us enough yet. And I hope and expect that they will. And so he said, well, I will make my OMB director, Russ Vogt, available for you. And so when I was in Washington, I met with our 2 U.S. senators. I met with the vast majority of our congressional delegation. And I met with Director Vogt and Deputy Director Bishop. We made our case, and everybody received that information with an open mind. The case is so clear that the people of Western North Carolina deserve their fair share, that I am confident that that our Congress and administration in Washington will do right, continue to do right by the people of North Carolina. Thank you all.
And you've been watching a press event there from Pigeon River Gorge with North Carolina Governor Josh Stein as he gets ready for a ride along I-40 in the Tennessee, Western North Carolina state line. We're also covering right now the investigation around a homicide from the Steel Creek area. This is the Steel Creek Division, a live picture there at the Wood Spring Suites. Our Walker Lawson on scene gathering more information on what happened. We do know that he did talk to at least one witness there on scene. So more coming up here on WCNC Charlotte midday, and also looking at live pictures on a protest situation at an ICE detention center out of Chicago. There's a live picture happening right now. Protesters returning to the Broadview ICE detention center this morning. So as we continue to cover those live events and stories around the Carolinas and across the country, we're also going to take a little break here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Stay with us. And it looks like right now, Public Information Officer for CMPD is getting ready to answer questions on that Steel Creek Division homicide. Let's go ahead and listen in here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Here to the 1600 block of Deborah Avenue for an assault with a deadly weapon call. Upon arrival, an adult female was located with an apparent gunshot wound. Officers did call for medic. Medic responded to the scene to treat the victim, and unfortunately she was pronounced on scene.
Has someone been arrested? Do we have?
Right now we don't have any arrests. This is an early investigation. Obviously, homicide detectives are on scene. Our crime scene investigators are here going through their processes. The only thing we have right now is apparently there was some sort of disturbance or dispute on one of the floors of the hotel that led to this unfortunate outcome. As always, we ask anybody that has any information about this to reach out to our Crime Stoppers at 704-334-1600.
Do we know, I was going to ask if we knew that they knew each other prior. Is this something that...
Yeah, again, way too early in the investigation to I don't want to speculate on relationships or what led up to this encounter, only to reiterate that it did have a very unfortunate ending.
Do we know how many people possibly were involved in this?
Again, all I have right now is there is one victim is pronounced deceased on scene, so at least one other individual involved, and that's all we have at this time.
We were talking with one of the residents nearby, and they were saying about a year ago there was some more police presence here, some sort of SWAT situation. Is this something common for the area? Is this uncommon?
I don't have the specific history of this particular block range now. We can certainly follow up with you with our public information office. Just want to focus on the events of today is all I can really provide things about.
And do we know if it was just people staying here?
I'm sorry?
Was it people just staying here? Or was it...
Again, super early in the investigation. I don't not to say if they were just visiting or they were residents or occupants or what for the hotel. So.
All right, that's about all the time we have.
Perfect.
So,
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, that was just a quick briefing, a live one at that, with CMPD officer with the latest information on a homicide investigation around the Wood Spring Suites. A live picture right now from our crew on scene as we see that officer and the representative walking away from the scene. But you can see the hotel in the background, the yellow tape blocking off the parking lot, a number of units, and the homicide investigation unit there remaining on scene. We could hear the voice of our reporter, Walker Lawson, asking him questions. Who were these people? Were they visiting? Were they residents? And that officer telling us this is too early in the investigation, but unfortunately can confirm one victim deceased in that homicide. So we will check in with Walker Lawson coming up on WCNC Charlotte at midday. Right now, we're going to take a quick 2-minute break here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here to Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We heard from Governor Josh Stein talking there along I-40 because of Helene, the 1-year mark is tomorrow officially, and we've been bringing you the stories here from WCNC Charlotte. Now, Virginia Governor Youngkin is expected to hold a roundtable. This is a live picture right now as folks and officials are gathering. He is getting ready to speak on recovery efforts there for the state of Virginia. And we will continue to bring you all of the stories here on WCNC Plus and WCNC Charlotte as we continue the coverage live from downtown Boone. Our Vanessa Rufus there this afternoon, starting at 4 on WCNC Charlotte. Hurricane Helene 1 year later. Wow, can you believe it was 1 year ago tomorrow, September 27th, 2024, changing the lives of so many people, losing 108 people and causing billions of dollars of damage to Western North Carolina. As they continue their road to recovery, we will continue to support them, hopefully, with our funds, our visits, and the stories that they want to tell. Also want to let you know that we are continuing to stay on top of this breaking news situation. A homicide in the Steel Creek Division off Arrowwood at the Wood Spring Suites. Our Walker Lawson will be up here on WCNC Charlotte at 11:30 with the very latest. Still very early in the investigation, but one person killed there off the 1600 block of DeBoer. Right now, we are just shy of 11 o'clock. Charlotte Today is up next. Have a great Friday.